Hey all, today we're going to be talking about operations with complex numbers. This is the follow-up to lesson 3.1a. This is lesson 3.1b. We're going to take what we were doing with I and square rooting negatives, and we are going to put that into play with some operations on complex numbers. Our goal is to be able to both add and subtract complex numbers. We also want to be able to multiply complex numbers using whatever method makes the most sense to you. And we want to be able to simplify complex numbers using those powers of I that we talked about. A complex number is the combination of an imaginary number and a real number. So we're putting them together. Each number has a part. So it always takes the form of A plus BI. A is the real part, and BI is the imaginary. Okay? So every complex number has two parts to it. You can see here that 5 would be the real number, and 2I would be the imaginary. We cannot combine them. It's not 7I, okay? You cannot combine a real and an imaginary part. You have to keep them separate. So same with this next one. 8 is the real part, and then 9I is the imaginary part, okay? So it's important to know which part is which. We always write the real first, and then we write the imaginary part so that we can perform operations with them. When combining, we want to always add the two parts separately. So the complex part gets added to the complex part, the real part gets added to the real part. So if I'm looking at this first one, 6 and 5 are the real parts. I'm going to add those and get 11. Negative I and negative 2I are the complex parts. I'm going to add those and get negative 3I. This is kind of the same thing we were doing with polynomials. You're just combining like terms. The like terms are the real parts and the complex parts. So we just put them together. So 7 plus 4 is 11, and 3I plus negative 9I is negative 6I. Okay, easy enough, I hope. The same rule holds true for subtracting. You subtract the real parts, you subtract the complex parts. So 8 minus 7 is 1. 3I minus 2I is 1I. 14 minus 6 is 8. Be careful of your signs here. Negative 9 minus negative 5 is negative 4I. Remember that negative 9 minus negative 5 means that you're adding that 5, which is where the negative 4 comes from, okay? So the one thing I would tell you is be careful when you're subtracting. Make sure that you pay attention to all of the signs when you are subtracting, okay? The third operation we do is multiplying complex numbers. We do this exactly the same way we did polynomials. So your choices are either the FOIL or the box method. I don't care which one you use. I prefer the box again just because it helps me organize my work. So that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to multiply. This is a 2 by 2. 4 plus I times 2 minus 3I. And I'm going to multiply all the parts just like I normally would. Notice that I end up with a negative 3I squared here, okay? So before I go to put my combine my like terms here, remember we talked about that I squared is equal to negative 1. I need to simplify this term, the negative 3I squared, and I'm going to multiply negative 1 times negative 3, which is going to give me a positive 3. Because now when I combine like terms, I am not only going to combine the negative 12I and the 2I to get negative 10I, I'm also going to combine the 8 and the 3 to get 11. So it's really important that you simplify that I squared term so that you can then combine it with the other real part. Notice I'm ending up with a complex number that has two terms, okay? You should always end up that way. We should not have an I squared in our answer. Let's try another one here. I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to set up my box. This is a 2 by 2. I've got 4 plus 9I on top, 6 minus 2I on the side, and I'm just going to multiply the pieces. Watch out for your negative signs. Make sure you're paying attention to that. And then I'm going to simplify this negative 18I squared, make it a positive 18. Now I can combine my like terms. So 24 plus 18 is 42. And 54i minus 8i is 46i. Oh, I have to think about that one. Okay. So again, pay attention. There's nothing wrong with using a calculator here, especially when you start getting into some big numbers. I'm going to grab mine as well so I can make sure my math is right for you. All right, we're going to take negative 3 plus 12i. We're going to multiply that by 7 plus 4i. Again, pay attention to your signs. This might be a good time to pause the video and try this by yourself, see if you can do it, and then check your answer. Notice this time when I take 48i squared, I'm multiplying negative 1 by positive 48, which gives me a negative 48. Now again, I'm going to combine my like terms. So first I'm going to take negative 21 plus negative 48, which gives me negative 59. And then I'm going to take negative 12i plus 84i, which gives me a positive 72i. Okay? So again, multiply it out, combine like terms. You could use FOIL as well if that's what makes sense to you. I prefer the box just because it reminds me in my last box I need to simplify with that I squared. Let's try one more here. So we've got 6 minus 5i, and we're going to multiply that by 3 minus 10i. Again, I would pause the video here, go through this yourself, and then play it again so that you can see how your work looks compared to mine, and make sure that you're understanding how to do this on your own. So I multiplied all this out. Again, I simplified my last term there. My I squared is a negative 1 times a positive 50. Are you noticing that every time it's just changing the sign of the number? 50I squared becomes negative 50. 48I squared becomes negative 48. Negative 3I squared becomes positive 3. You're just changing the sign of the coefficient each time and simplifying that way, okay? So now I'm going to combine my like terms. So 18 plus negative 50 is negative 32. And negative 60i plus negative 15i is negative 75i. There we go. I have multiplied that out and I am done. We'll try one more here just to make sure you've really got the process down. Again, pause the video, make sure that you can set this up, make sure that you know how to multiply, and then play again and check your answer, okay? So once more, I've multiplied it all out. I am going to add my 88 plus my negative 15 to get 73. And I'm going to add my 8 to the 165, and I'm going to get 173i. There's my complex number. I am done with this. So I'm hoping this, after 4 examples, this is making sense to you. Just don't forget that that I squared has to be simplified, okay, when you're doing this. As always, this has been brought to you by Khan Alonso Inc. We hope that you are enjoying learning math with us. And as always, if you have any questions, let us know. We're more than happy to help. Take care.